There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out.
Welcome to the show, Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life, and this chapter too, the very best chapter ever. I am your host, Lorraine Hovey from It's About Time. It's your time. I am so glad you are joining us today. This day will change your life. I know it. Open your heart, your ears, and listen. You will find a gem, just that one gem, a treasure that you can apply to your life this very day. I am so excited to have back the interview extraordinaire, Stephanie Staples.
You're a brave one, Lorraine. You're a brave one coming at it for week 2.
Yeah, I invited you back.
I didn't scare you away. Well, you did such a great job last week.
Well, thank you. And Stephanie, if you want to hear her story, she was on episode 121 and 122 in January, just a few weeks ago. So she has energy, and she also has a depth of quality of her questions that I so appreciated last week. And so we are going to dive back in, and she's going to keep on peeling the onion, and here we go.
Okay, my little onion. You're my little sweet onion. And just so people know, so Lorraine has no idea like what I'm going to ask her. There's no preparation. She's just going with the flow. So I really admire that, which when you think about it is no different from any conversation we have in real life. We don't have a script in front of us. We don't know what people are going to ask us. So this is we're just mimicking real life here. And that's I think that's cool.
And I think Lorraine, the audience enjoys that. Yes.
I hope so. I like people to feel like they're kind of a fly on the wall, just kind of listening in. So you and I, if people were to see us, and you had to group people at personalities, they'd probably put us in a similar corner, you and I. Like we can be kind of a lot, right? Would you admit?
Yes. Yes.
Like with that energy, and we're kind of generally happy and positive and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Here's who I didn't want to talk about you anymore. I want to talk about your husband. Now, behind every person like us is a partner sometimes, maybe not every time, but a partner if we're doing well, who is supporting us, who is the quiet one that, is maybe not the life of the party, but they're just, they're different from us. So, and I know you've been in a long-term marriage. I want to dig into your marriage and find out about your man.
Well, Stephanie, 45 years in May, and go for it. If that helps somebody out there, hey, I'm willing to talk about our marriage.
Well, I think there's we're in COVID, there's all different types of hard, right? There's being alone hard, there's being in a long-term relationship hard, there's being in a young family hard, there's lots of different types of hard. And just like last week, we talked about, your life in different decades and kind of where you're at. I mean, when you're in a marriage for 20, 30, 40 years, my goodness, the cycles and changes and ups and downs and such, and you don't get this far into a marriage. And I always think too, it's not so much how many years you put in. Here's my question. When you pull up in the driveway and you see their car there, are you like, oh, goody? Or are you like, oh, crap? So
Right.
Do you still like each other after all this time, first of all? And if so, then I think there's definitely some diamonds we can mine there and help people with relationships.
Right. And we do like each other. We really like each other. But have we always really liked? No.
Tell us your love story in a nutshell.
Okay, so we met when I was about 22. He came, let me see how this worked. Yeah, he came into, I flew into the town where I was born in Terrace, BC, up north in British Columbia. And I was just going to go there for, probably a week. And the minute I got off the plane, somebody said, "Oh, Lorraine, there's a young people's thing at the church, and do you want to come?" Well, when I got there, I needed a ride, and a ride home. So somebody said, "Well, why don't you ask this guy over here?" His name was Tim. "And why don't you ask him for a ride home?" And I said, "Well, I don't even know him." So somebody said, "Well, you're going the same direction. Can you take her home?" So, and the story's a little longer than that, because it was actually where we rode bikes from one to the other, and I was with one guy, and so, but it's complex.
Oh.
So anyways,
Now we really want to know.
I ended up with Tim, and the thing that impressed me immediately about this man is he has a sister that is, I believe she's 12 years younger than him. I think it's 12. And she's a sweetheart, and she was born on Mother's Day, and kind of at the very end of all the brothers. And he had her, and she was 6 or 7 at that time, at a young people's thing. And I thought, who goes to where all these teenagers are these 20-year-olds, and brings his baby sister? Of course he was babysitting her, but I was so impressed with a man that would take his little sister, and that was no big deal. So that was my first impression of Tim, and that's where we met. And then we kind of didn't see each other for a while, because then I went home from there, and then I moved back to Prince Rupert. And when I was going through Terrace, I thought, well, I'll just give him a call. And I hadn't talked to him for probably 3 or 4 months. We had written for a little bit, and then you know how that goes. And so when I called him, he put down the phone. And because I had called him, he kind of felt something in his heart, and he put down the phone, and he said to his brother, "I'm going to marry her next summer."
Oh, really?
Because he felt like if I came back into his life and he hadn't orchestrated it, he felt like maybe God orchestrated it.
Wow.
And we did. But he didn't tell me that right away.
Oh, that's so sweet. But just listening to your story, what I hear is you took action.
Right.
You took action, right? Because there comes back that accountability piece.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I picked up the phone. If I hadn't picked up the phone, yeah, that's very.
And I mean, 40 years ago probably wasn't the most common thing for the woman to be picking up the phone. So that took some courage. That took some chutzpah. That took some brass ovaries.
Plus, I thought he was really hot. So I really liked him.
Now, so many things happen, though, and especially a long-term marriage. Like, you are not the same person when you get together as you are, decades later. You either grow together, you grow apart, or things happen, things change. So what's been kind of the secret of your success? What would you advise people? And everybody has a relationship they'd like to make better.
Yeah, I would say we talked a little bit about personal development. So I would honestly say the more personal development I had done, the more work I had done on myself, the better our marriage became. Because suddenly I did not need to control another human. I needed to be complete in myself. So I don't need Tim to complete me, and he doesn't need me to complete him. In fact, we've often said, and you think about this as you get older, for those that are, like in their 60s, like me, you begin to start thinking, what happens when this partner is not here, or I'm not here for the partner? You know what I know, and what Tim knows, is we can survive on our own. We don't want to, but because we have developed, both of us, and even Tim, who didn't used to do personal development, spends a lot of time now reading on the same books that I've brought home. In fact, I've had books sitting on my coffee table, and during COVID, he's been picking them up and, reading Brené Brown, and I'm going, wow.
Oh.
He just walked by. But anyway,
things.
and on being vulnerable and things like that. So he needs to take care of his self, his mindset, and I take
Yep.
care of mine. And then when you come together, you're not looking for the other person to complete you or looking to control the other person. All you're
Mhm.
doing is you're just being like best friends hanging out.
You're
And
complementing each other.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. I think the last 4 or 5 years have been, since COVID, even more crazy. It's been wonderful. And you'd think we would be at each other's throat. Instead, we've learned how to communicate. We've learned how to slow down our reactions and respond kinder
Mm.
and more compassionate. But it wasn't always that way because when you're insecure or when I was overweight and didn't feel good about myself, I wanted to control him because I couldn't control me.
Oh, interesting. And again, we come back down to the accountability piece, right? You're not saying you should do this and you should do that. You're just like, okay, I'm working on me, and it is a bit contagious, which is a wonderful thing. But
Right, right.
I admire that insight into yourself to realize it's not about waiting for the whole world to change. It's about creating what and who you want to create.
Right, right.
What
And
what did he
it's
think
a
about this new woman that after you turn 60 and your new outlook on life and your new outlook on you? Like that's a big change for him too. You're a different person.
right, right. He of course loves it, but this is what I've always said about Tim, and this is a beautiful thing. He loved me um, the whole time. So when I was 275 pounds, Stephanie, he would be so proud of me and I would be dying inside. We'd go to a function, social function, and he'd be introducing me to everybody. And believe you me, for those out there who know this, know that pain of going into places where you've never been, knowing that people are going to judge you on your appearance. Tim would go in and introduced me to everybody. He was so
Oh,
proud of me. And this is
that's beautiful.
it, it's absolutely beautiful. And a few years ago, I went back to where I had taken a personal development class in California, and so they kind of had a reunion. So I went back there, and Tim came with me. And so the people there had known what I'd gone through, that I'd been, obese and then lost my weight. And so I said, I've been married to Tim. I was like 35 something years there, closer to 40. But anyways, when I said he was coming to pick me up, he
Hmm.
came, and Tim is a nice looking man. And I don't think anything of it. He's a nice looking man. What
Hmm.
else did I say?
Because we heard he was a hot 20-year-old, so we would expect no less.
Right, exactly. So, but when he drove up, I only figured this out after. I think the women there that were waiting for him in the car
Hmm.
thought that maybe because I'd been married for so long, that he would not be so together and look so good. I'm not. So I didn't put it together, but they just kind of went, "Oh, wow, your husband's good looking," and they were acting surprised. And
Hmm.
so I had to deal with some deep, deep pain after that. Um, and I had to process that. And I realized that quite possibly they were thinking, how could Lorraine at 275 pounds hang on to a good looking man? Didn't that, drive him crazy? Or didn't he,
Hmm.
he never gave me an ultimatum or anything ever. So finally I thought, I'm going to be really brave. And this is what was very hard on me. I'm hard to do. I'm going to be really brave and I'm going to ask Tim why he stuck with me. And so this was hard
Ooh.
because I didn't know what the answer was. And so about a week after that, I said, Tim, I've got something to ask you. I want to know, I really want to know deep down what caused you to stay with me or not nag me to death when I was 275 pounds, because I knew in my heart I probably would have nagged him, us women.
Yeah.